like how long did it take? Okay, this is what I want to do. How do I get there? And how do you keep it, so to say? Because that's what I heard a lot. I asked a lot of adults about making it, stuff like that, and they always tell me it's hard to make it and it's also hard to keep it. So
absolutely. I think making it is a perpetual state of mind, though. You know, like if you know, I don't think that, you know, when you hit like a certain level, you sell it a certain. I mean, who's to say what level is quote unquote making it? Because if you get into that mindset of like I've made it, and you put your feet up on the table and you lean, I feel like then like you're saying, that's when you lose it, because you're always in a state of like, man, I want to get better. I want to become a better musician. I want to be, you know, I want to do, you know, I want to see more of the world. I want to tour here. I want to work harder. If you have a constant state of like, I want to someday achieve, I want to set goals higher than where I'm at, you know, then I think that's, you know, that's an incredible mindset to have, to always believe that you haven't made it. You know, I think that sometimes in life, I won't know what I just did with my life until I'm, you know, like 30, 40 years down the road, where I can look back and be like, oh my gosh, you know, I got to go to New York City and play these shows, you know, I got to do this with my life. Because I don't want to get into a state of like, oh, you've made it. But I do see what you're saying. How many years? Man, I'll say like the day that we signed onto the major label is kind of the day when, you know, like, if you want to say like that's making it.
Well, I mean like you can have a steady paycheck towards it, and you don't have to depend on anything else, just something you love.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. I guess that's what I meant more.
Sure, absolutely. A steady paycheck. I think that would be like, so I started in bands when I was 19, and we finally got signed to a Seattle record label, like a couple years later. So I would say like a total of 8 years, you know, right around there. But you got to understand that like those first 8 years were complete, just fill in the blank, just the worst moments of any life, like, you know, like of my life in per se. I mean, we were sleeping at rest stops, like, and the van would get so hot we'd all sleep in front of the pavement, you know, like on the pavement. Like, we wouldn't have money for hotels for several tours, and so there was one time somebody was like, you can stay in this house. Well, the house was abandoned. He owned it, but it was abandoned, like nobody lived in there. So the only thing that worked was the stove, so we turned on the stove and we opened the door and slept sleeping bags around this stove just to keep warm at night. Like, there was moments that we found ourselves in California and had to like call all our parents to Western Union money just so we could get gas money on the way back. I mean, we would have $3 a day to live on, so we would go to this place called Del Taco in California and get 99-cent tacos. So you get a 99-cent taco for lunch and then 2 for dinner, and that was it. Like, so these were like moments where it was just kind of like, you know, I would get home and I felt so malnourished, you know, like I was just like, my parents were like, you know, what are you doing? So I lived with my parents for years and years because I just couldn't afford even, you know, the only thing I could afford was like, Del Taco. But even when I was, so there was months like, the only possession that I had was my cell phone, because I had to use it to like, you know, work and coordinate and run tours and, you know, all this stuff. And even that, my phone would get shut off like months at a time, you know? So it was brutal, man. But I feel like if you're passionate about anything in life, whether it's music or art or whatever it is, you'll do anything. You know what I'm saying? You will sleep anywhere. You work any jobs. There was a time that I was waking up at 4 a.m. to go welding, which, you know, I would basically go work with a welder and dig ditches to get to a pipe so he could weld it, you know? So I'm digging ditches, and I'm just like, I guess this is what I got to do, you know, 4 in the morning. I tried to do anything I could, you know. Take any odd jobs that I could be, but when you're passionate about something, you know, you really want to make it. Like, I don't think that there was ever a moment where I was kind of like, you know, I can't wait to make money at this. All it was I can't wait to play music. You know, I can't wait till the next time I'm on stage. And that's literally what it was for like 5, 6, 7 years, you know, living with my parents, digging ditches at 4 a.m. But that's what if you want to do something in life, you know. And so for me, the point when I made it, for me personally, was just the second that I got into the van the first time. We cashed in everything we could to try to afford anything we could, instrumentation, got into a van and set out on our first tour. It was the second I felt like I made it, you know? And if I had only done one tour and the band ended, and I would look back with that with utter like, wow, that's incredible. At any moment of the band, if we would just stop, I would just look back and just go, man, we made it. Because for me, it was just all about the chance to play play music.
I have two questions.
Sure.
In terms of like when you first started like playing with people, like the group that you're in now, how'd you assemble with them and like get together with them and start playing? And then also the second part is how'd you go about getting signed to a record label?
Amberlin is the other band that I'm in, and three of us went to high school, and we played in horrible bands that I'm so embarrassed of. But you know, at 16, you know, that's what you do. You just start horrible bands, you know, and that's where you start kind of like honing, like, okay, this is what I want to play. This is the instrument I want to play. And so the three of us got together and played in this horrible band. And then from there, we played the show with this kid. He was 12 years old. He was a drummer. And so the bass player, Dion, was like, you've got to come check out this kid. You know, like, he's unbelievable. And I was like, honestly, I have a lot better things to do than go watch some 12-year-old play. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, like, pew, pew, pew. And here we go and watch this prodigy, 12-year-old, just crushing it all over the place, you know? And I was just floored. I could not believe it. So we, you know, talked to this kid. And at the time, this band that we were all in, the drummer was kind of departing. And we were like, do you want to play with us? Like, do you want to play a show, you know, some shows with us? So at 13, he joined the band that we were in. And at 14, his parents finally let him come out on the road with us. And his older brother, Parker, had to come in the van with us and basically escort him around the country.
Make sure that he's...
Yep. Yeah. And then I was supposed to like make sure that he kept doing his homeschooling, you know, which he never did. And so, but I feel like his parents kind of knew, like they were just kind of like, wow, this 14-year-old's like, he's good. Like, you know, his dad played in the NFL. And so I think that his father recognized, well, if you have a talent in a certain area, you should basically like kind of hone those skills, you know, like you should go after this, you know, no matter what age, you know, because his dad did, you know, he loved football and he was good at it. The dude's what? He's got to be 6'7"?
Yeah.
6'8". His dad's like 6'8", just massive, you know, offensive lineman. So I think that he knew, like, okay, like, you know, my kid's good at this and he needs to really pursue this. And so from there, we started, you know, that's how so then as far as record labels go, this other band had even this little record label. And what I would do is, like, I would go and there's this thing called a musician atlas. You can find it online or you can get it it's like really thick book, and it's like booking agents and clubs and all this stuff. And that's how I would start with, you know, submitting my demos to everybody, booking agents, and I mean, I look back and that's kind of like the wrong way to do it, but with record labels, that's exactly what I do. I put together this little cheesy press kit. You gotta see it. We have one. It's hilarious. It's like all our pictures, these live shots, and like little bios, little bio of the band, and like put in this little binder and went to Staples and did it all up and then put tapes in there, and I just sent it out. I mean, I would just save up money, put these little packages together, and send them to every record label I could possibly think of. And finally, randomly, I got this phone call and from this label out in California called Rescue Records, and they called me back and were like, hey, we're really interested. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can't believe this. It turned out to be a bad decision, but we were on a label, and it kind of set me into the course of like how to deal with, you know, record labels and business and all this stuff. And from there, that band kind of saved up money, and we were kind of coming to an end because we felt like this isn't the music we wanted to play. We wanted to start something new. And so from there, we did Amberlin. So we saved up all our money, drove up to Atlanta, Georgia, because we were living in Florida at the time, and worked with this guy named Matt Goldman. And Matt Goldman produced these 3-song demo. And we, in our minds, we were like, you know what? We're just going to do these 3 songs, and if nothing happens with them, that's it. You know, we're at the end of the road. You know, I wanted to, you know, I had just got done finishing college, or I was finishing college, and so it was kind of one of those things that I felt like, you know, I've invested all this time into college, I should get a job, and we'll give it one last-ditch effort. And so we drove up, worked with Matt. He knew some people at different record labels, and he was just like, this is great. You know, you guys, I'm going to actually send this to some of my friends. So what we did is we went on to MySpace, and we put up our 3 songs. Well, we fielded a lot of phone calls from major labels, but for us, there's this thing called developmental deals, which you never want to sign. Don't ever sign to it. So for us, we were like, we should do the indie route, start out. And luckily, this label in Seattle, this little indie in Seattle, Washington, picked us up based on those 3 demos. the funny story about it, here's another long answer that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I feel like I wish that somebody told me some of these things, like to make me feel better, because these are tragedies. So the guy, the A&R, flew out from Seattle to watch us play this show. Well, there were two hardcore bands that were playing, one before us and one after us. There were Norma Jean and Under Oath, these two massive, like, hardcore bands. So here we are, this, pop rock band or whatever, Amberlin in the middle. So everybody was like, just raging, the whole place is going. Then we play, and everybody's kind of like, what's happening? So the A&R, Chad Johnson, was kind of like, what is happening? This is not good. Like, they're not winning over the crowd. Then Joey, our guitarist, trips and falls on his butt in the middle of the set. It was just like one of those, like, downhill just tragedies of a show. And by the end, we didn't know this till late years later. Chad Johnson calls his boss, and it was just like, we should not sign them. Don't sign them. And then, but the president of the label was like, you know what? You've got to sign these guys. Just do it. So, this president of the label took a chance on us, and we got signed. But as far as Anchor and Braille, the way that we met was that I saw Micah perform at a Christmas party. He was just doing an acoustic set at a Christmas party in St. Petersburg. And I was like, wow, that guy is good. So I just sat there and listened to him. There was like this little campfire, and Mike was in the corner, and I didn't want to go stand in front of him because that would have been so awkward. Like, good job. But I just sat there at a campfire and listened in, and it was awesome. And so after that, Nate, our drummer of Amberlin, introduced us, and we just slowly kind of just talked, and and over time it was just kind of like, when you have a project that you're passionate about, there's very few people that you would want to entrust with that, because it's not, in it for like, we're going to make $1 gazillion and we're going to, conquer the world. It's more like, let's just go out and see the world and see what happens. And so Micah was the one that I wanted to, stay on the road. So that's it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, man.
What happened to that 12-year-old drummer?
He's still in Amberlin right now.
Oh,
Yep, he's 25. He's still in Amberlin. Yeah, and he's great, man. One of our best friends. He's
So I just want you guys to take note. He was 12. Now he's 25.
Yeah.
That means this guy's pretty old.
Touche.